Hey everyone, welcome to the Consult Before the Cut. My name is Brittany DeSherry. I am the CEO over at Rejuvime Medical. I have with me today Dr. Weiler.
Dr. Jonathan Weiler.
The Dr. Weiler.
Yeah, board certified plastic surgeon. Let's go on, 16, 17 years of experience. Founder of Rejuvime Medical, the best anti-aging GLP-1 hormone replacement clinic in the country, and the Weiler Plastic Surgery Group. And
Taylor Besh,
Yep.
physician's assistant at Weiler Plastic Surgery.
Yep.
All things
The famous Taylor Besh.
injectables.
I was
So
the
we're-
expert injector.
Fun
Yep.
topic today.
Yep.
Yes. So we
Yes.
have with us today
Yep.
Macy.
Hello.
She is absolutely fantastic. She's here with
Yes.
us today to dive into all things that are micro breast
Micro breast
implants,
implant, yeah.
T90 breast implants.
Yeah.
We're going to get into it. The tiny but mighty.
Tiny
That's
but
right.
mighty.
Tiny but mighty.
And,
All right.
And Macy is a
yeah.
holder of many hats, right?
Yes, yes.
She is a nurse, right? She is an influencer. And she
We called it micro-influencer.
You're somewhat of an influencer.
Micro breast implants,
And
micro
also a
influencer.
patient, right? And so we'll talk, we'll use your nursing skills, and then we'll sort of shift over and talk to you more as a patient.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love it.
And Britt, what are we talking about again today?
Today we are diving into micro breast implants. It's
Right.
it's the new hot thing with breast implants.
Right. And
Well, I
so-
feel like there's 17 new hot things.
There
with
are
breast
17
implants,
new hot
but
things.
you know,
There's a lot going on in the breast implant market and the breast implant world, but certainly micro implants. I would define a micro implant as something probably less than 300 cc's.
But before we dive into that, I want you to talk about the evolution of implants.
Sure.
So you've been around long enough to have seen a
Yes.
lot of changes, a lot of transition, but even before your time.
Yeah, so implants I always give the same spiel. Implants have been around since the 60s, I believe. They were developed in Houston, Texas, actually.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Back in the day, the Wild West, this was before the FDA really existed. You could invent something and you could stick it in someone's body.
and just that, there you
It
go.
just happens, right? It's
Good luck
almost
and
like-
Godspeed.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. So there was a tremendous amount of craziness going on in the 60s and 70s. There was some standardization in the 80s. Silicone implants were still at the forefront. But there was a lot of what we called capsular contracture issues or scarring issues. And there wasn't a whole lot of medical research going on in it. And the majority of it was the way the implants were being made, the way the implants were being inserted, and actually what we were using during surgery was a combination causing all these issues. So everybody kind of knows about the big silicone breast implant scare, right? Dow was one of the manufacturers in the huge lawsuit. And so they recalled all those implants, and sort of there was a mass migration from silicone implants, which are great, by the way, to saline implants, especially in the United States.
Okay, I remember that, but when was that?
So
2000?
Yeah, so no. It happened earlier than that. So the Dow stuff was big in the
Earlier?
80s. The lawsuits all started in the 90s, and there was the moratorium was happened in the mid 90s on silicone breast implants in the U.S. They were never stopped in European countries or South American countries. So there is no issue with silicone. It was the way they were made.
Right.
That was the
Okay.
problem.
Yeah.
So
Give them your silicone reference.
Oh yeah. So
Here's another.
silicone's in everything we eat, touch, and breathe. Right. If you live in a city, you actually drink silicone because it's in our pipes to lube the pipes up. If you look at the back of your food and your spices, silica,
Tony's
Tony's
Sachet.
Tony's has
right,
it.
prevents those flakes from sticking. You ingest more silicone typically per year than what's in an implant.
Wow.
So silicone is a non-reactive, very safe substance. Silicone implants, we'll talk about that in a second, are now gummy bear implants. But saline implants are still a silicone bag filled with salt water, so the same amount of silicone touches your body with either one.
So saline is still a thing.
It's a silicone bag, right? No, so
Much less popular.
Much less
Well,
popular.
I was about to say, when you said that, like in the 2000s, I remember when I was in college, everybody had saline
Yeah.
implants.
So in
everyone.
08 officially, 08 and 09, silicone implants were brought back.
Right.
slowly.
Rebranded. Yeah.
Rebranded. All that was available to the mid 90s to 08, 09 was a saline implant.
Okay.
And so silicone implants were brought back to the general public and slowly reintroduced. I officially started back in like the 08. So that's, I kind of hit that right when it was happening. And so they slowly gained traction. And now 99% of ladies choose silicone implants.
Okay.
It's amazing the progression in the last
Last few years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the reason is they look better, they feel better, they're softer, they're way more natural, and they have a lifetime warranty associated.
I just sit here and think, I don't know why. I mean, I know this is probably, you remember waterbeds were like a thing, right?
Yes.
That is what I think of when I think of a saline implant.
That's
it's
how
just
it
like
can
free
begin to
water.
fill.
Right. It's just like free water. Yeah. And I'm like, I think with the
and that's a good point. So now I would tell you, as a man that sees a lot of implants, so it certainly can have a waterbed appearance or feel, but the problem actually, it's more like a balloon. They're filled super tight.
Yeah, you overfill it, so it's like
overfill it, and it's hard. And so the only reason when you squeeze a breast of a woman that has a saline implant, it actually displaces and goes away, and you squeeze the skin and it pops back in. Silicone is different because you actually squeeze the silicone implant and it's nice and soft. So it's
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Does it have
like I would say saline is like squeezing a baseball, silicone is like squeezing a stress ball or something that is completely
so
different.
it's like hard.
Oh
yeah, and it just moves away because just like a helium balloon, you can't really squeeze it, right? It doesn't really compress, right? But you can squeeze a stress ball.
Yeah.
We actually. When my kids were younger, we'd bring them to the office and they'd run around squeezing.
They would love playing with them.
They would love playing with them because they're so soft. And they would stick them in their belly. But there's been a lot of movement with silicone implants. There's been a lot of movement in the implant world, to tell you the truth. So there was 3 major companies: Sientra, Allergan, and Mentor. Sientra has been bankrupt and sold and resold. They're still out there. It was at one point very promising. There's a new company on the market called Motiva. Now they're new to the U.S. They have been in Europe and South America and Australia. We don't have full access to their entire portfolio, which is FDA issue, and hopefully RFK gets in there and whips them up a little bit, and we get full access. They have a little bit more of a feminine spin on things. It's a good implant. There's 2 basic types. There's textured and smooth implants, and we're not going to get too much into detail, but Motiva has a micro texturing. We used to love a textured implant, but we realized it causes some issues. So in the US, we shifted back to a smooths. And then Motiva, which is coming out of Costa Rica, has a micro texturing. They also have a super soft implant, and they also have a super full implant. So the world of implants is
forever
evolving. And also, actually, Mentor just announced that they're introducing larger implants now. So we've been limited in the U.S. to 800 cc's, and Mentor is bringing out implants for larger sizes, which is amazing.
Micro
because
to macro.
some of our ladies, our larger ladies, 800 cc's is not near enough for breast reconstruction. So
kids meal to Big Mac.
Kid meal to Big Mac,
I'm like,
Double quarter pounder.
all I can sit there and think about is a liter.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of a liter IV bag.
Yep.
Is what I'm thinking. And I'm like, a liter IV bag would be like shoulder to shoulder for me.
Right.
Yeah.
And compression of it reforming, but
So,
but I mean, if you think about that, I'm like, that's
so on the future, I hopefully we're going to have access to larger silicone implants, which is going to be great. There's a thing called Femtech, a type of implant that's an injectable bead that's being developed and coming out. Europe, they do use some fillers in breasts. It's still very controversial. Fat is huge for augmentation or enhancements.
Renuva.
So
there's tons of options.
There's tons of options out there. But the bread and butter for 99% of ladies is still a breast implant, which typically is a silicone-based breast implant these days. And to break it down, so there's now 4 major companies. There's better options. There's better options for size. And things are getting better. There has not been much movement, honestly, since 2009, 2008. There's been some improvement. So all of our new implants are what we call cohesive gummy bears, which if the old ones were liquid, the new ones are like a gummy bear. If you cut them in half and squeeze them, they can deform, but they go right back. They're form stable. They're very, very safe. I would do them if my mother needed breast reconstruction, my mother-in-law needed breast. I would do them very, very safe these days.
A couple of years ago, we actually ran over one with his truck
love that
and
video.
videoed
Yes.
it.
Yep.
So yeah, they're very
Very
stable.
eye-opening.
But honestly, the next few years is going to be amazing because there's a lot of new things in the pipeline.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of options. But specifically today, we are talking about micro.
That's what I was about to say. Well, speaking of size,
Yes.
What qualifies as a micro implant? And does that vary depending on human beings?
So I think the definition varies. So Dr. Gear, one of my other surgeons who works with me, she calls it the French implant or
Yeah.
the East
The
Coast
French
implant.
aug,
Yeah.
Right,
yes.
the French aug. So, typically there are very regional sort of sizes, demands. East Coast girls, New York girls are more into the micros. French ladies, Brazilian ladies, they want smaller chests, bigger butts, right? Your Texas gals, your West Coast gals, they want
Bigger the better.
Bigger,
Yeah.
bigger the better. They want a big top and a big bottom and a skinny
Yeah.
waist. So a lot of it is just preferences, but we're focusing on the trend of micro breast implants.
And micro breast implants, I think, is the perfect, sexy, beautiful, natural look. That is more trending, I would say.
I think so.
Than in the past.
I think so. So the way I define it, and you guys can define it also, but to me, it's really something that's, if you have a very petite woman that's 4'8", but a normal average American woman, 5'4", 5'6", 135 pounds, anything less than 300 cc's to me is going to be a micro breast implant.
Who's the perfect
Yeah.
patient? Because, excess skin, nursed a gazillion children.
Yes. So, to me,
Not so much.
And obviously I'm functioning as the expert here, but to me, the perfect patient is somebody that wants either two things. So a young lady or a woman that has had very little breast tissue or very small breast size and is in good shape and thin and just wants a little bit of subtlety, right? So a woman that maybe still wears a bikini is tired of wearing big pads in her bikini. A woman that wants a little bit of shape in her clothes and doesn't want to wear the Victoria's Secret big padded bra. That's the one. The other one is maybe a woman that's had a few kids and wants some enhancement, but also realizes she has to get rid of some excess tissue with it. So may need a lift or / a little reduction. But a woman that's looking to restore a little bit of volume that she may have had in the past.
Who is not a candidate?
Somebody that wants a significant size change is not a good candidate for a micro breast implant. Someone that has a very large chest and looking for, that upper fullness is not a good candidate. Ladies that, the hardest thing I think with breast augmentations and breasts in particular is for me and that patient to be on the same mental page. Breasts is such a difference of beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? And so you really have to get what that patient wants. And so, and we're gonna journey down that hole with Macy here, but micro implants have a very distinct audience, I think. And I think once you latch onto that audience and you realize this person wants just a little bit of enhancements and they're concerned about being too large or whatever, and then you go down that micro implant road.
And I think too, it's almost like sticking with ratio where, say if somebody who did have more excess skin that was a little bit bigger of a frame wanted the general appearance of a smaller look, their micro may be in the 400s.
I agree, yes.
You know what I mean? Where it's still
Right.
not micro, but a smaller look on somebody that in general is working with a wider set chest, more volume to fill. Their smaller but full look could be on the smaller side in the 400s.
Right.
Where I feel like the numbers sound intimidating and maybe it's a 450 or up. But based on size, and I think that was real big for anybody to kind of grasp, is you can't be fixated on a number to think that anything bigger is going to be Pamela Anderson.
Right.
It's all
You're right, yeah.
ratio. And
It's
that
all
was
ratio
truly
size.
eye-opening to
So-
see.
Quickly tell us about the width of the breast. Like, how do you come up with exactly what she just said?
Yep.
Somebody who's very petite versus a larger.
Right. So when
frame.
we do a breast augmentation, we want to make almost everybody wants a natural sort of breast appearance, right? You don't want a giant balloon, you don't want a little bubble underneath the skin. So part of the consultation process is measuring the width or the base width of the breast. And that can vary from anywhere to 11 centimeters all the way up to 14 to 15 centimeters. And so there's typically most companies make 4 different projections or roundness of implants. Styles, right? And so we want to measure the width of the breast. We want to match that to the width of the implant close. It's not an exact science. So when we put that implant in there, it lives within the borders of the breast, but it also fills within the borders of the breast. And so that's really usually our first step. And then we go into size or cc's. We go into cohesiveness or firmness. We go into smooth, textured, or micro-textured. And those are the different options. But the base of the breast is very, very important. And so we want to match that base of the breast to the base of the implant, width of the implant. And then we usually progress from there. So a micro implant is, to me, a good candidate is somebody who typically has a more compact upper frame.
Smaller frame.
A smaller breast width, has never had gigantic breasts before, or in response to being pregnant or breastfeeding, some women's breasts get huge. They're typically not a great candidate for a micro breast implant. It's typically someone who's naturally thin or very petite or has a slim upper body and just looking for some enhancement upper. And the definition, it varies, like Macy said.
Right.
But in my mind, when we start talking about 300 or less,
yeah, for sure. In micro, I'm just saying that may be like a moderate, but like I know, for example, my sister-in-law, we're built completely different, but she loves a small implant, but knows she's not a candidate for a small implant.
Right.
So you have to shift your mind that anatomy is not the same.
Right.
But you want the general appearance of somebody looking at you and thinking, oh, they're cute. Like, they look good.
Right.
Like
your precious breast implant.
Right, like look how little. But, but it's definitely you have to shift your mind to me, the biggest thing is ratio.
Right.
Yeah.
So actual surgical procedure.
Yeah. So
recovery.
What's the difference?
difference?
So I tell ladies, the benefits of a smaller implant, typically smaller incisions. Some of these implants you can get down to almost a 3 centimeter incision, which is great.
Where's that placed?
It's placed at the fold of the breast.
Okay.
Right. I like to place my implants primarily under the muscle. Now, as you get into a micro implant, you can start to put them above the muscle, right?
Because the skin is...
What's the difference of putting it under?
Great question. So the reason in the U.S. we put most of our implants below is because most of our ladies we in the U.S. like larger chests. So usually most of our ladies are 350 or above. And so when you get above a 3 or a 325, the skin and breast tissue long-term has a very difficult time supporting that weight. So we put it below the muscle. The muscle assists with holding that weight in place. It also can give you better upper pole fullness because you have thicker tissue, because you have your skin, your breast tissue, muscle, then implant. So aesthetically, it gives you better cleavage. It also gives you a little bit of a better long-term support.
And less palpability of the implant.
Yeah, and less palpability of the implant up top. So ladies that are going below 300, there is some evidence that said you could do a subfascial, which means above the muscle, below the breast tissue. One of the issues is you may be able to palpate that. So like a woman that's older, that's lost a lot of her breast tissue is probably not a good candidate for
like a thinner.
Thinner skin. You may see the implant, especially in clothes. If you go below the muscle, you'll never see that implant below the clothes. So I put most of mine below the muscle. So advantages are smaller incision, less weight of the implant. So long-term, large, heavy implants in a petite woman can cause issues because gravity always wins.
Right.
So better long-term appearance in my mind. Now, the recovery, typically I would say is quicker and better. But our petite little girls can have big, strong muscles. And so and you're still stretching that muscle.
Right.
So everybody's recovery, in my mind, is a little bit different, but potentially very quick recovery. And small scarring, quick recovery, better longevity. And just, in my opinion, typically the ratio or the rules, the larger the implant, the potential for more issues and complications.
I was about to say, is there a smaller rate of complications with, or is it still, it is what it is?
So I think the surgical complications rates are the same.
Yeah.
I think in a good surgeon who's experienced and knows what he's doing, there should be no difference between a larger and a smaller implant.
Okay.
Now, the long term, and when I say complications, I mean the weight of a larger implant puts more stress on the body and can sag over time, right? If you don't have good support. So a smaller implant, you would think in your mind, less chance of sagging, good, better long-term, hey, my breasts still look great after 30 years.
Right.
You don't have to go with a micro, but if you go in with, let's say you put a 280 or a 350 or 400 in a girl that's 5'6", that's a good long-term, I should do that procedure and not have to really have a problem with that woman for hopefully forever.
And then it might just be a self-diagnosed problem if they gain weight or...
Correct. Changes in breast, not
correct.
Changes.
I did want to ask or add, say and I feel like the micro could be a younger demographic, like if you have somebody in college wanting to get implants at a younger age, and now I feel like the big thing is, well, if you get them, can I breastfeed, all that stuff, and really you're good either way.
Yeah, you're good either way. So the way we do implants these days are in the fold or under the breast. We actually go under or behind the breast, so we don't interfere with breastfeeding.
Right.
Don't interfere. Sensation should be preserved. We don't violate the breast tissue at all.
Right.
So yeah, I think trends and things like that certainly affect sizes.
Right.
Well, let's do this. We're going to cut to a break. We're going to continue with you, Macy, as we're going to ask
a different role.
A different role as your experience as a patient. But I'd like to thank our sponsors, right? I'd like to thank Weiler Plastic Surgery Group, the largest aesthetic plastic surgery group in the state of Louisiana. 5 surgeons, multiple locations, great injectors. Also like to thank Rejuvime Medical, right? Louisiana's largest anti-aging, GLP-1 providers, hormone replacement, right?
Trickling into Mississippi.
We've got a ton of great providers over there, and we're rapidly expanding. So we'd like to thank our 2 sponsors. And we're going to cut to a break and be right back, guys.
My name is Felicia Ferranti. I'm from Mandeville, Louisiana, and I had a breast augmentation. For me, I knew that I wanted to go natural. I knew what I was looking for. I remember finding Weiler's website, and I was like, this looks really natural. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Having my clothes fit is a life changer, seriously. Just nothing ever fit my shoulders, and nothing ever stayed on me properly. That's all I ever wanted to do was just fill out my clothing, and that in itself, literally a dream come true. I know that sounds dramatic sometimes, but seriously, it is a dream come true.
My name is Josh Hughes. I'm 43. I'm currently on the HRT program. I just started feeling the effects of getting older, being tired all the time, not motivated, sore when I would do physical activity, and just needed a change. I've been on the HRT program for around 3 years. Within the first month, I completely noticed a huge difference in my mood and energy. The weight that I had gained started to drop off rapidly. It just gave me a new lease on life. It made me feel like I was in my 20s again.
All right, welcome back. We are going to go ahead and shift Macy into a different bit of a role here. Yep. She is going to be our patient now and talk about her experience.
The other side.
Because we want to know, the other side of the curtain here. So we want to know about your experience with your micro breast implants and kind of start where did it start?
Yeah,
How did you get into it?
Yeah.
Where did this come from?
5-year-long journey.
Yes. Like,
5 years.
That's it. It's like, how did we get here?
Because
give her a little background on yourself too, because not only you're a nurse.
Yes,
but
I
you're
am an RN. I've been with you for 5, almost 6 years now in the OR, so firsthand at seeing all these procedures. I did labor and delivery for 5 years at Woman's, and I'm now also in the position managing a fitness studio, Body Sculpt. So
your other life is fitness instructor / studio manager / very into health and fitness.
Correct.
Right?
And let's not forget micro-influencer.
And micro-influencer.
I
say influencer.
Dr. Weiler's always had my back. I'm like, with the micro here. But yes, I love fashion. I love sharing ideas, and I am very open and honest when it comes to my life and what I'm passionate about. And honestly, with this journey, I've been very open from the before of kind of the whole consultation when I pulled the trigger to make a go on it, and then really open with my recovery, I guess you could say, and where it's led me to now.
Sharing your journey.
Yes, and I told Dr. Weiler recently, I posted a bunch of little series on TikTok, and the feedback from that, I told him, I said, I was on an hour phone call with this girl. The whole process.
Wait, so you posted the breast augmentation process?
Yes. Like,
oh, wow.
Yes.
Awesome.
And somebody was like, I need to know more.
The
How did this
messages
happen?
were like insane, but and I'll lead up to that, how it made me want to do that through me trying to figure it out. But being in the OR, I've been flat-chested my whole life. And I would say like cheerleading days when you wear the tight little fitted. I was self-aware
Yeah.
that puberty was done for me and I just was not growing.
Wasn't gonna happen.
Yes, and it's fine. And I had friends that were the same way, but I mean, they'd be stuffing 3 little triangles in their bikini, and I'm like, I cannot keep up with that. That's exhausting. One weekend you're gonna be flat, the next weekend
Right.
you have bombshell.
They're gonna
look.
fall out.
Yep.
How am I
Yes.
going to purchase a shirt? Like,
Yes.
is it for
False
my
advertisement.
padded booties?
Yes, literally, that's exhausting. So I really embraced just being flat
Mm-hmm.
always, and I feel like that was just known. And I've always been thankful to have some junk in the trunk where I feel like it kind of
You got a great
It
figure.
evens it
and you
out.
work on
Offset
it.
it.
You have a
There
great
you
figure.
go.
And my husband is definitely a butt guy. That's like always been the big joke. He's like, if I liked him, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have settled with you. So anyways, making the decision to kind of dive in, I think I had created this, like, I can't take off from the studio. I can't be out, like the time frame, really not thinking of the realistic shortness it would be. And not knowing how indecisive I would be when the process started of picking a size.
Right.
I think when you start flat, you're picking your size. You're not filling something that you're already working
You're
with.
not trying to fill excess skin.
Yeah.
Correct. So your options are endless to a
Endless.
certain extent
Right.
of what your new look is going to
Yeah.
be. And that was very terrifying to me because I was and am so much into my appearance in the non-selfish way.
Yeah.
I didn't want to look bigger, to be completely honest. And the more people I talk to, for petite girls, they fear that getting implants is going to make them look fat or it's going to
Yeah.
make them look bigger. And that held me back for a while. So going through the process, I'm like, I'm just going to do it. Lauren White, one of the surgery nurses, I'm like, I need you in there with me for transparency of true opinion, knowing my personality, knowing my fears, all that. So we met with Dr. Weiler, very like professional manner. I'm like, okay, this is like not in the OR.
I'm
like,
a patient now. This is
yes.
happening. I'm going
But
to.
that was very eye-opening too, to see what my pocket size is, to know what a realistic start of numbers. Being in the OR, we're constantly just charting, writing the number down, 415, 6, like.
And when we talk about pocket size, we're talking about the width of your breasts, right?
Correct.
And
Okay, so that's
seeing-
what we're-
that's
that
what I'm talking about,
measurement,
the
okay.
limitations of what we could do, right? And so
Right.
every woman, we don't want to violate those breast borders.
Right.
We can't really move breast borders, but we don't want to violate them. That's what Macy's talking
Correct.
about.
So having a starting point was A. And then B, when you move into projection, that was also overwhelming for me in a small way of, do I want to have that like big line or do I want it to fall more natural? Like, where do I go? If I wanted the full profile, it put me
Right.
on a higher number. And I was very fixated on numbers at first.
When you say numbers, you say CCs?
CCs,
Okay.
like above 300 was
Right.
making me sweat.
Right.
If I went away from the moderate of a 295, I had to jump to a 335 for a high profile. So I'm like, gosh, I swear this went on for probably 3 months, maybe. I think they had ordered
the
me.
rabbit hole.
What
that-
did you reference? Did you do a lot of online searching?
I did.
And interface? Did you look at a lot of pictures?
I was big on TikTok, Instagram, with hashtags. And that's what made me want to do what I did after. So I would hashtag 295 cc's, 295 moderate, 310 moderate, 3 like high profiles, breast augmentation. A lot of New York type places started to come up.
East Coast aesthetics,
That's it.
right?
Yes.
East Coast French aesthetics.
Yes.
Brazilian, I would put you because you have a nice figure. Brazilian aesthetics,
Yes.
right?
So then I'm like, okay, but I don't want to see before and afters. I wanted to see how these girls looked in a swimsuit. I wanted to see how they looked like in a tight maxi dress. I wanted to
Like
see
in real life.
what they
Yeah.
looked like in a athleisure oversized shirt. Did I think they looked bigger? Like I needed
Right.
to know those things. So then it led me to bathing suit websites, clothing websites, where I would just literally be looking at not even just the shirt, but
Yeah.
that person's body.
Yeah.
Screenshotted a lot of swimsuits, and that's where I feel like you have to reference, is that person's body type similar to me? Are they 6'1" and weigh 100 pounds wet?
The height and weight,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Big differences,
Comparing
right?
apples to apples.
Yeah,
Yes.
5'1", 105 pounds is very different than a 5'11", 135 pounds. They can look very similar in pictures if there's
Correct.
no reference.
Correct.
Right? And that's the hard part.
Yes. So I was, my album of breast on my phone was like several scrolls, but I had it down to a science. And I finally deleted it once a decision was made. I always joke, I'm like, he went daddy mode on me and was like, I know what you want. Stick with the $295. Decision made. Done. And I'm like, fine.
This is it. We're not talking about it again. This is it.
That leads me to say you have to trust your surgeon.
Yep.
The more people you ask opinions, when they don't know what they're talking about, confuses you even more. It makes you second guess all these things. And it's like, no, you're paying the money and the expertise for a reason. Like,
But make sure
that.
you connect with your surgeon. Does
Yeah.
that make sense? Like,
Yes.
don't just go in there and, I want a B cup or I want a
Yes.
small B and leave it up to the surgeon.
Right.
Do what you did. Bring pictures.
Yes.
Talk about size. Push them, right?
Yes.
This is your
Yeah.
body. And so make sure that you connect and you're like, okay, our minds are on the same
Right.
place.
Right.
I would have never thought about like how she said before and after photos. That's right. There is no reference there. It's just a before and after. It's
Right.
really just
And that's the huge mistake a lot of women make.
yeah. It's like
I recently am consulting, and she's a big influencer. Hopefully, she comes on. And she is a tall 5'10", and we talked about she wants a larger chest, so we talked about a larger size. Which I actually, when we went through the consultation process, I felt like she was being a little conservative for her height, and she came back 2 weeks later, very concerned because she went home and is friends with some 5'1" girls, and was like,
Much smaller build.
Yeah.
they were like, oh my God, that's huge,
Yeah.
right? So we had to reestablish you're 5'10",
yeah.
you were a college volleyball player, you're married to a man that's 6'7",
Right.
Gymnastics.
right? Gymnastics. I'm sorry, gymnastics. When I said volleyball, getting confused with you because you're but gymnastics. But reset that bar, but say, hey, you have to look at the height, weight, and it's easy to go down a rabbit hole.
Yep. And I will, like, if you're watching this and you want to do this, I say bring all those types of clothes. Bring a tight shirt, bring a loose fitting shirt, bring, not a bikini necessarily would work, but I think maybe bring how you dress to kind of fit. It won't be the exact, but I do feel like it gives you an idea. I feel like I dress a little bit differently now. I enjoy tighter clothes because I have a new curve to show versus I did wear a lot more flowy things that didn't show anything, you know? And I still dress like that, but I feel I didn't lack confidence, but I almost tell people it's the little cherry on top.
Yeah.
That gives you that extra womanly
It
feeling.
opened up a new sort of, a little bit of a different style for you, maybe.
Right.
That you weren't afraid to say, hey, I can wear
And
something that
because
has
we're
some shape
still
to it.
on the smaller end, I don't feel inappropriate.
No.
Because it's not, I still
Do
don't feel like
you
that's the
have
first thing.
$295?
It's
And-
$295.
Yeah. Okay.
Moderate.
Ooh,
Yep.
stayed under that 300
Yeah.
line.
Oh, yeah.
Look at you standing that ground.
So tell us about day of surgery.
Yeah.
That was a
Then
really
lead into
fun
recovery.
day.
Being on the other side, because
Yes.
to be specific, you're one of our surgical OR nurses.
Correct. I think it was a fun day, and I'm sure the staff was like, finally.
She did it.
Because we ordered literally 6 or 7 implants, and now I relate even deeper to our patients that have 8 numbers on the paper. Prior, I'm like, good gosh, they couldn't make a decision.
Right.
And now I'm like, girl, I understand. And
Yeah.
I've bonded with my
Yeah.
patients a little
Yeah.
bit more. I've even showed them mine before. I'm like, you're going to love them. Look at these. I'm like, we are the real and the
$295, is that what you're interested in? Cool. Check this out. Like, let me just lift my shirt up real quick and I'll show you exactly.
Wait,
Love
the
them.
little slogan, like something real.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, look, we're real around here. But, and we're besties. But day of surgery was fun. I actually got my mom to take me. And Jacob's like, I don't need to be there. I'm like, no, like I have all my friends here. This is literally a celebration. So my mom took me and it was quick and easy to the point. Literally, you get your little margarita push from the CRNA and you wake up in recovery.
Yeah.
Were you nervous about the surgery? Because I feel like, us medical people who are into it, you know too much.
You know too much.
You know too much. So
I wouldn't say nervous, but I've never been put to sleep before.
Yeah.
So that was
Okay.
my first, I've never had surgery. This was my first of anything. I've had children, but just epidurals.
Were you more nervous about being put to sleep in the procedure?
I think so.
Okay.
And I wouldn't even say nervous
that's
because
legitimate.
working
What?
in the OR with our CRNAs, I would trust any of them with my life. So it was a weird nervousness.
Yeah.
That was my only concern if I had to pick.
Yeah.
But recovery wise, I was eating Oreos in recovery. I felt good. Short, quick procedure. I think I was on a
40 minutes,
Thursday.
45
45
Yeah.
minutes.
45
40 minutes.
That was
40
on a
minutes at most,
Thursday, and being person that I am. Monday I was back at the studio, but not working out.
Good.
But just up and moving and resuming normal life.
Did you have a lot of, I tend to find girls that are more muscular have a little bit more pain.
I will
especially
say
muscular.
day 2, day 3 was the hardest for just that tightness where I feel like the muscle component kicked in. And kind of getting in and out of bed was that main, you don't realize how much you actually use your chest,
Well, I also feel that you're a mom of 2 boys, right?
Correct.
2 boys,
And luckily they're old enough, like if you're asking me to hold you, walk.
yeah.
They don't need to be held.
But even so, like, I feel like, climbing up in bed and being like, oh, mom,
Yes.
it's like,
Oh, but they knew what was about to go
knew.
down. They knew because the implants were around here and there for different things, and they were fully aware of what was happening. And they were fully aware that I looked very different after.
Yeah.
They had never seen that ever.
Yeah.
I remember them asking my sister-in-law, they had seen her, and they were like, wait, what are those?
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Oh.
So would you, obviously you recommend it because
Yeah.
I would been saying.
Yes, I would do it over and over again.
What is your biggest takeaways? What would you tell
I
people thinking about it early on?
Yeah.
waited till I didn't wait, but I did not have this done till I was 32 years old. I'm like, I don't wish I would have done it sooner, but
Right.
I could have easily done this 10 years ago, and been completely happy. Would I have needed to get them redone after kids? I don't know. But if you're confident in how you are, it wouldn't be a bad recommendation for me. Have your babies,
Yeah.
get your body where you like it and you're comfortable. Do it and enjoy them,
Okay, so here's the biggest question I have. Do you wish you would have gone a tiny bit bigger? I always wonder that with micro
I
implants.
don't.
Okay.
But I told him, I said how you start getting opinion based with everybody and you hear all the time, if you're between 2 sizes, go bigger. You will not regret it.
Right.
That is very hard to tell somebody and just trust. Okay.
Right.
Truly.
But now I understand because in the beginning, and I will say around day 2, day 3, I was texting one of the girls. I'm like, can we just go up there, literally take them out?
Take them out, exactly. Which
you
is
don't even need to put
almost
it in.
99% of people want them out in 3 or 4 days.
I'm like,
I
now
literally
that-
had this
Wait.
attorney like 1 week out, like, I don't care, I want them out. I'm like, I had to literally I had to talk her down and talk to her mom and say, look, this is a mistake. And sure enough, cooled off, loves them.
Yes.
Wait,
and I'm
so
like, now I
how
get
long
it.
does it take for them to settle in, if you will?
Minimum of 6 weeks.
Okay.
Typically 3 months
Okay.
to really be sort of happy.
So like everybody just
Breathe.
take a good breath for like a
breath.
hot
Because that
second.
muscle gets nice and tight and
Yeah.
holds them up
Holds
top,
them
so
up.
they look high.
Yeah.
And it takes some time
And I
for
can
them
see
to
how
settle.
it would be even scarier if I had more breast tissue.
Yeah.
Yes. And your nipples get pointing down.
Yes, like I can so
And
see
it
where it
is-
could have been way
It's
worse.
a journey.
It's a journey.
It's a
Yes.
journey.
It is a
Trust-
journey. It
trust
is a
the
trust.
process.
It is a
But less
process.
of a journey with a small breast with a
Correct.
micro
Yeah.
implant.
Yes.
Truly.
And to me, it was the same experience when I worked labor and delivery and had not had children yet. You say what you've learned. You see from experience. You're very textbook with explaining and things hit at the right time. Until I had children, I feel like I was a better nurse after. Like, so now my spill of what I tell people, I relate my own experience and let them know.
Truly.
Like, don't be freaking out on day 2, day 3. You'll be fine. I'm pretty sure this is why they don't want to see you right back immediately.
Yeah, right.
I'm like,
We'll
if you
take your
need
phone call. We don't need to see.
Text me for moral support. We can get through this together. I promise you will be okay.
But how many times after surgery did you call Dr. Weiler? In the
Actually, none.
Yeah. Which is, which is funny because everybody gets my cell phone number.
Yes.
It's usually the patients that have, so Macy went through this incredible pre-op decisions and questions. I love that because patients that come in and question and talk and go back and forth, I'd rather
They
meet
go in
you.
prepared.
They go
Yeah.
prepared. And so they're confident. They're nervous and they're scared and
Yeah.
they're questioning.
Yeah.
But you'd be surprised the people that you think like Macy would be lighting me up and some of these other patients, they don't. It's usually the ones that you don't
Expect, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That.
Well, and I feel like, too, a word of advice is, say if you go to your scheduled routine consults, appointments, if you're still indecisive, I had more opportunity just because I was coming to work and I'm like in the OR like, hey, what do you think? Da-da-da-da.
Right.
So I wasn't texting him because I'm like, no, I'm going to be with him for 6 hours. But
he can't avoid me. Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
here's his picture.
But you know, our consultants do an excellent job.
Yeah.
They do,
Yeah.
but I was gonna say,
And all of
don't
our
be
staff.
fearful if you need to call and say, hey, can I come back
Yeah.
one more time
Yes.
to like just try
on
Yes.
implants. Yeah.
Put me in a room with my 3 different options and
Right.
you go to town.
Yeah.
I
But-
think that is very like admirable.
I
Yeah.
want to say something, because you brought up, so did she wish you were a little bit bigger? So I feel like breasts are such a personal journey, right? And that, like, so I have a young lady that works for me that is in extremely good shape and works out all the time. And I think she had a very full chest before her babies. And when we came in and talked about the size, I was sort of shocked at the size that she wanted to do. It was a very aggressive size for her, and she couldn't be happier.
Right.
And so it is such a personal journey in
Yeah,
terms
because
of,
we didn't know her before when
Yeah.
she had those.
Correct.
Yeah.
Very full.
Right.
but-
Correct.
Yeah.
it's about how you perceive
Yeah.
your body,
Yep.
what you find attractive. And so I tell people, like, because we have ladies that come in with their mother-in-laws and their friends, and they'll go to these sizes and they'll call our consultants and be like, I want to come back in because I really want.
That's what I'm
you know,
like. It's too
my
many
mother-in-law
opinions.
told me
That
at 320,
is
I want to be
funny.
580s.
Yes.
So it is such. Listen to your heart, whether it's micro implant or mega.
Yeah, and he's not always going to give you the implant size
Correct.
because of exactly
Right,
what he just
right.
said. He's
Correct.
going to give you the parameters.
parameters, what we
but
could
then
do.
going to involve you
Yeah.
in
To
the
make the
final
final
Because
decision.
it's your body,
Correct.
and you got to live with them. I tell patients, think long term. Think 5 years. Think
Right.
3
Yeah.
years.
Right.
Don't get breast envy and think
Correct.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. You know, don't just put implants in for a party.
Right.
You have to walk around with these things.
Yeah.
You have
Could
to
I
live
do
with
that?
these
But I was
By
about
the
to say, but
there are some
could we?
stuff you do
But could we?
to enhance in short term.
Wait, I was laughing driving on the way here because I was thinking about Mardi Gras. I'm like, we're about to go talk about my boobs and laughing in my head. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you could still go to Mardi Gras and like flash these things and get a decent beat.
Yeah. I think
Mardi
so.
Gras
I
coming.
mean,
Maybe like
Let's
tattoo
see
a
it.
little Weiler, tattoo a
That's
QR
it.
code to the consult
I
page.
There you
literally,
go.
I have a patient. I'm not
Brilliant.
kidding.
I
that
can't-
came from Florida because she was on Bourbon Street. And a
I
lady,
remember that.
Remember her?
Yep.
Was flashing her breasts. She walked up there and said, "I got to get those breasts. Where did you go?"
Stop.
And
But I
she
think
was
she
on
has
vacation.
at least 800
Yeah,
cc.
she's got
They
a
were
chest.
pretty-
But she came over from Florida, and I was like,
Yeah,
"That's a little
she
bit."
We'll have her on the Big Mac
compliment.
show.
I just love that Dr. was like, that's my signature.
Right.
Yeah, like
I'm like, we need to
just
look into the QR code
the
tattoo.
QR code tattoos. but
$300 off your
for your
surgery.
consultation.
Code Mardi Gras.
Hey, it's advertising. I'm here for. I
That's
love
right.
that.
really good.
I
That's right.
absolutely love that.
So, advice for a potential patient coming in, whether they're seeking micro, macro, what did you do right? What did you do wrong? And what would you advise? From a patient, not from a nursing
Yes,
standpoint.
no. The only advantage I have is knowing the staff here that other
Correct.
people don't immediately know.
Right.
But I'm very passionate about, if I'm passionate about something in my life, I talk about it till you become as passionate about me. And if you disagree, then like shame on you because it's the best or we're the best, whatever. But I think the staff here is phenomenal. From the second you walk into the door, the nursing staff, the injectors, all of your providers, the doctors. And I speak so highly of that from both ends.
Right.
You know, because I have friends that come here that they'll rave on what I rave, and I'm like, okay, it matches up because you don't see everything I see. The bedside manner, really taking that second to not just be like this next consult, okay, here, there you go. It's like you're listening, what's their concerns, what's their lifestyle, and let's really factor all that in before we just put a number on the paper and off to the next one.
Right.
From the follow-up process, to me, that's big. There are tons of plastic surgeons, not only around where we live, in the state, in the country. You have people that leave the country to go get these procedures done. And I'm like, you're leaving the best and it's right under your nose.
Yeah.
You know, so advice, you may not agree, but I say your one-stop shop is here. Do your research, like fact check me if you want. There's a bunch of different awards that agree with that. And I think that results, if you look at before and afters, it kind of seals the deal of just the full package. All the way to when you get to surgery day, you know, I said my one fear would be anesthesia. That could be somebody's like even bigger of a fear because they don't know
Oh yeah,
who's taking
it
care of
prevents.
you.
They don't
It
know.
prevents.
Yeah.
I mean, it prevents some people from
Yes.
doing things.
So that was huge for me. You are in awesome hands here from the second you walk into the door till really forever, because I feel like your journey doesn't end just when your surgery ends. You know, you usually become a loyalty program with getting facials, aesthetics, all the good things. And it may lead you to feel more confident for your next procedure if you needed one.
I love that
You
word,
said,
confidence.
Yes.
Well, you said earlier that you had posted your journey and you had the opportunity to give advice or, you know, just talk to somebody who was on the fence, it seems
Yes,
like.
and I shared. So I'm putting all the hashtags in my videos that I wish people would have had when I was doing my research. And the people that reached out, because I even said in some of the videos, obviously I'm not going to post pictures on here, but I'm open.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's woman to woman. Hopefully they're not taking my picture and selling it somewhere. But the conversations I've had have been very eye-opening and helpful to other people. That fills my cup to know that I helped somebody like who was on the fence. But really putting it out there, my journey in just of all of the fears and concerns that I had with picking a size to let somebody else know, like, your same feelings are validated, and it is okay to express that to your surgeon. Because sometimes it's very intimidating coming into a plastic surgeon's office to you're exposing yourself and
mentally and physically.
Yeah.
yes,
Very
and I feel like when
vulnerable.
you get
Very
shy
vulnerable.
like that, you almost forget what your questions
Yeah.
are.
Write them down. That's
So
how I tell
write them
people, or
down.
Call us back. And
Yes,
ask
write
us.
them in your
Yeah.
notes. Have your inspo pictures, and really don't be scared to like kind of word vomit.
Yeah.
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 Don't be afraid to challenge. Don't be afraid to state your mind.
The surgeons
questions.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
just
because
ask
when you
questions.
think about it on the other end, when you're like, okay, he could have seen 500 people this month.
Right.
It becomes very monotonous in a light way. You have to make sure your story is your story, not just, I want implants, I want them to be small.
Right.
No.
Yeah, no,
Like, this
I
is-
always say,
You know?
look, we have like a 5-minute window to connect with our patients.
Yes.
We have a 5-minute window to really seek what you want. I always tell, and I tell this to Taylor, who's one of my best injectors. I can't say best because everybody else get mad at me. But,
We're all the best.
But we're not in the business of great. I mean, we do great procedures and we do great surgeries, but we're in the business of confidence and happy patients. And so we're measured not by how fabulous our result is, but how happy our patients are
Correct.
and how confident they are. Because this is a world about confidence. We want to instill confidence in our
Right.
patients. And like you said, that confidence means success in life, and it typically rolls into additional areas of concern and confidence. So I think that's a great statement.
And I know we've touched kind of on family, but I was also laughing because my mom, she was in the day where she had saline. And her mom was not on board, just in general. I feel like that generation's like, you're beautiful, what do you need to
Right.
do?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Well, they weren't
And-
into self-help. They weren't into
Yeah.
self-care.
Completely different world. And my grandma told me this same exact thing. And it's not that she didn't support me because she knows I was going to do what I wanted to do.
Right.
But the difference of just generations, you know,
Truly.
she's still, we went down the rabbit hole the other day. We were together and a Weiler commercial came on. She's like, I don't know why all these people think they need all that stuff in their face. And I'm like, she said, and you do all that? I said, oh gosh, Grandma, how much time you got?
I have a list of 87 things that I've
She's
done
like,
this
but you're
week.
beautiful.
Like,
And I'm like, well, thank you. You can thank the people that want. And I'm like, no, but it's enhancing your own
Right.
beauty. I did
Yeah,
not think I
truly.
was unpretty or anything
Right.
before, but it's the cherry on top.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this
Just
is
feel
a
more
day and age
comfortable.
where everybody can be their best selves and not feel bad for it.
Yeah.
Preach.
Amen
it's
to
just
that.
like, get it,
See?
sister.
Yes.
Get it. No, and you get to wear like clothes that you want to wear that you couldn't wear before and stuff like that. So I think
It's
you know,
fun. I'm like, I feel like I'm playing dress up at 33 years old, and I should have been playing dress up when I was 13 or 16.
I don't know about 13, but
Or, you know, just like playing in your closet or wearing different little things. But that was a biggie too with lifestyle, with telling your surgeon, I did not want a new wardrobe. I did not want to have to go, which I didn't even own a bra.
right.
I just wore sports bras or little nippies or stickies. But nothing has changed for me. It's just like, oh, it's supposed to look like this.
Right.
So that was big for me, and just not wanting that shift of that's too big for me if I need new clothes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been great.
All right. Well, Macy, thank you so much for joining us
Yes.
today
You're
and sharing your experiences, both from the
Find me on
nursing,
TikTok if you don't go away.
from the nursing side and the patient side. We
Yes.
appreciate you coming out and everything. We want to tell everybody thank you so much for tuning in.
Macy, you're the best.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Everybody, stay curious, ask the questions,
Yeah.
and always remember to consult before you cut. Thanks so much. We'll see y'all next
guys.
time.
Bye.